what's up, my friends? My name is Raul Lopez Jr., and I do a lot of different videos that have to do with life and business, but I want to do this one about a spiritual experience that I had because I think it's important to share for other people to understand that there is healing in life, from depression, from anxiety, from suicidal thoughts, from just living in a cloud, in a fog, that there's freedom, there's help. And a lot of times, at least for me, it didn't come from psychiatrists, from therapists. It didn't come from pastors, which all help, but the healing didn't come from that. The healing for me came from a spiritual experience. But when I started to seek within, when I started to study, when I started to meditate, quiet my mind, when I learned to quiet my mind is when everything changed for me and I had this spiritual experience. So the combination of all those things I just mentioned, and then taking the time out of my day, daily, to practice breathing, different breathing exercises, to really practice slowing down, quieting my mind, choosing my thoughts, brought me to a spiritual experience where I actually left my body and God spoke to me. And I don't share this in depth too often because people fear it, or people sometimes think, oh, it's too far out there. But it's truth, and it's truth for me, and there's a powerful God, there's a powerful creator, and when we don't share what he does for us, I just feel like we're limiting him. So I want to share this story. And I'm going to just say it in really short. There was a lot of trauma, a lot of lostness, a lot of just crazy things that happened throughout my life from a very young age, and I won't go into that right now. There are other videos and other stuff that where you can see more about that. In fact, I have a book. It's called Heal the Boy and the Man Will Appear. Learn the importance of understanding and expressing your emotions. So with all of that happened to me, I was seeking, trying to figure out why so many things happened to me in my life, or why I felt the way I felt, why I did the things I did, and why I acted the way that I acted. Until one day, I was in a deep meditation, deep soaking prayer meditation, and God just took me from where I was at and put me in this field. And a little bit background is that I always had this wall that blocked, it was like a block in my life, and the block was me not able to get past certain stages of happiness, of love, in joy, in business, in anything that I tried to do. There was this wall, and it was really weird because I could see the wall. Now, the wall was not physical, but I could see it. Just like the wall behind me, I could see this wall. And one day, in a session with the psychiatrist, she asked me, she said, "What's behind the wall? Can you see over the wall?" And there was a time in my life that I couldn't. The wall was just 1,000,000 feet high, 1,000,000 feet wide, and I was just stuck behind this wall. And I had no idea that there was even anything on the other side. And then as time went on, this wall started to shrink, and it got smaller and smaller. And there was a time I could peek and I could look over the wall. I would jump up and I could look over the wall. And what I saw was a beautiful field. I saw trees, I saw blue sky, and the psychiatrist asked me, "What do you see? What's over there?" And I said, "I see the field and I see grass and beauty." I said, "But what I feel is freedom. And I don't know where that's coming from, but when I look, I just sense there's freedom over there." And that's where I want to get to, because I just had this hardened heart. I lived in this fog. I walked around on a daily basis pretending I was happy and joyful and everything was okay, but internally I was just lost. So on this day when I appeared in this field, I stood there and I looked and I was like, wow, the wall is gone. The field, I'm in the field, but I couldn't move. And so I kind of looked around and I looked over to my left and I saw a little boy. And I realized instantly that that little boy was me when I was 7 years old. And I looked over and I saw me, and I said, you're my wall? Why have you held me here for all these years? And he looked at me, and he had no emotion. And And he said, I'm not holding you here. You're holding me here. And when he said that, I just had this wave of energy, this wave of understanding, this wave of I don't know, knowledge, of wisdom. I guess understanding is probably the best word. And it was almost like my whole life from that age until the day that happened to me had kind of crossed through me. And I realized that this wall, this block that I had, the freedom that I sensed on the other side of this wall was not of me. The freedom was this little boy who I'd blocked away years ago. My heart had hardened and I put him aside and I created an alter ego who would never allow that child to be hurt again. So I put him away. I didn't let him have a childhood, a life, a happiness, a joy. And I created this person who would fight, who would battle, who was confused, who was lost, who just wouldn't allow feelings, who wouldn't allow love within, who wouldn't allow joy and happiness is the way I can explain it. Because it hurt. I had associated love with pain. And if you associate pain with love or love with pain, where can you find joy in your life? How can you be close to God? Because I believe God is love. So there's a wall. And that was the wall that I had for so long. And when he said that to me, I just realized all these things that I'd gone through in my life, all these feelings, all these anxieties, all these experiences, I had created externally, seeking love, joy, trying to get it from external, buying things, relationships, whatever it was. I was trying to find what this child had that I had put aside and hardened my heart and really locked my soul away. So there was no joy in my life. So he said, you're holding me here. And I realized all that had happened was me. And I felt terrible. So I turned and I knelt down and I started to hug this little boy. And just this powerful energy of love surrounded us. It's just like a blissful feeling of understanding. And I started to cry. And I just hugged him and I said, you're love, you are light, you are joy. And I apologized to him over and over again. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for holding here. I'm sorry that I didn't understand. You are love, you are light, you are joy of the world. And I kept saying that to him and I didn't know where it was coming from. And I started to call him son. Now I have to go back a little bit more. A lot of my trauma had to do with being taken from my father at the age of 7. And then realizing why I was taken from him and then basically being abandoned by him. Who I loved to death, my father, my daddy, who I loved to death. My relationship was so strong. I see these videos of these parents and they're off in the military and they're gone for a year and they come back and the kids just run to them and they grab them and they cry and you can just feel the love. You can see it, you can sense it, you can feel the energy of their love and they cry unbearably, but they're happy because that love is so strong. That's how my love was for my father. In fact, when I got back, when I was taken from him, months later I was able to see him. And that's exactly the scene that we had. And that's why when I watch those little clips of these guys coming back and these women coming back from the military, it makes me tear up because I remember that strong, powerful connection, that love, that feeling. And I just ran into his arms and I jumped into his arms and I held on to him and I loved him and I cried and he cried and it was so powerful. He was my world. It was as if he was the moon and I was the earth, or he was the sun and I was the earth. We need each other to survive. I needed him to survive and he was just ripped out of my life. So, and then my father passed away at a very young age. So when I had this dream, this meditation, this vision, he had already been passed for many years. So going back, I was hugging myself and I was soaking, I love you, I apologize, you are light, you are love, you are joy. And I started to call him son. At the end of each of those sentences, I would call him son. But I thought to myself, this is not my son, this is me. But I kept saying, I love you, son. You're the light, son. I'm sorry, son. And I realized it had shifted from me talking to this little boy, me, at the age of 7, to my Father holding both of us. And he was saying to us, I love you, son. I'm sorry, son. You are the light of the world. You are joy. You are love. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry for holding you captive for all these years. I'm sorry that your heart is hardened. I'm sorry that you weren't free to live. So now it was me holding myself at 7, apologizing and just giving as much love as there is possible in this universe. And my Father hugging me and apologizing to me, and we're just feeling all this love together. And then one more shift, and we stand, and we're all three looking up, and this beautiful field is there, and this energy is coming from above, and God is looking at us. And I don't see him, but I feel his energy, and he's saying, I love you. You are my son. You are the light. You are joy. You are happiness. From God. He's telling us three that. And from there, my Father disappears after he apologizes. And myself, at the age of 7, appears right into my left hand. And I don't know, something about the left hand. And he appears in my left hand. And I look at him. And I take him and I put him into my heart. Something just prompts me. And I put him into my heart. And my heart instantly softens. And I believe I released my soul. I freed my soul to live in happiness and enjoy and to start experiencing life as it should be. We are created to love, to live happy, joyful, not to live in sadness and depression and anxiety and confusion. So after I put this little boy into my heart, he appeared in front of me and he started to walk into the field. And I said, you're free to go. Go. He needed that freedom, not me. It was this little boy who needed to be free, set free. And he started to walk into the field and he turned around and he looked at me. He hesitated. And I said, you're free. You don't need to worry. And I realized that he was me. And if there was any concern, if there is any hesitation, if there was any worry, it was still me who had held him there all those years. And I realized that, and I took a breath and I said, you're free to go. You're free, as in freedom is yours. And this little boy walked in that field and he disappeared. And I say the man appeared. I have a book, I don't know if I mentioned at the beginning of this, but it's called Heal the Boy and the Man Will Appear. It's on Amazon. And it's about my life and that story. And he went into the field and he disappeared and he was free. And then I just felt this continued energy, this wave, this like a hurricane wave of energy hitting me. And I was told that this life didn't happen to me, it happened for me. And the experiences that I've survived in that time of being lost were not for nothing, but for me to share my experiences with the world so that others can heal, so that others can understand, so that others can seek and find their little boy that they put aside, can find their healing, their specific healing from when they were a child. And I've realized through sharing this story on stages and books and in general with people that there are others who have very similar experiences. They go back and they find they're connected with a time in their childhood that they don't even know is holding them back, that they don't even know is why they're upset, is why they have anxiety, is why they're confused, is why they're sad, is why they're depressed, is why they're suicidal. We don't even know it at the time. And then we have these experiences and we go back and we meet that child. So I say to you, there's healing, there's peace. It's never 100%. We're on this earth, we're on this human journey, and we're experiencing things. And sometimes we have good days, sometimes we have bad days. But when you find the actual healing, life will change. Life happened to me. No. Life happened for me. Things happen for me, not to me. for me to gain the wisdom to share with you. And if you look at that perspective in your life and you seek, you'll find it. And not only will your life change, but so will others. Enjoy the day.